(9:06 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time). 9:06 Reports EU is prepared to offer May UK-wide customs arrangement. Lisa OCarroll RTE is reporting that the EU is to offer Theresa May a UK-wide customs arrangement as a way of breaking the impasse on the Irish border, writes our Brexit correspondent, Lisa OCarroll. RTE's Europe editor Tony Connelly, who has seen a draft of the latest proposal, is reporting that a UK-wide deal could be offered in a treaty sitting outside both the withdrawal agreement and separate to the future relationship deal. It would feature prominently near the top of a redrafted withdrawal agreement, and previous references to Northern Ireland being part of the EU's customs territory removed, as previously reported. The question is, will this get the two sides to the landing zone? The EU has been implacably opposed to a UK-wide customs deal, while the Prime Minister has been implacably opposed to their Northern Ireland-only deal for the backstop arrangement on the Irish border. Yesterday, the Prime Minister went further than before, laying down 4 new red lines for a backstop agreement, one of which was a legally binding UK-wide customs arrangement. According to Connelly's report, this new EU customs proposal would be an illegal article which might give May the comfort she needs. However, the withdrawal agreement would still contain a Northern Ireland-only arrangement for a backstop and spell out how that would work under the Union Customs Code, the basis of the EU Customs Union. This may not be sellable to Brexiters, but it seems that creating some sort of bridge between legally binding withdrawal agreement and a customs arrangement in a standalone legal article is a fresh idea. Updated at 9:16 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 8:28 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 8:28. A 10-minute rule bill to end the criminalisation of abortion in Northern Ireland has passed by 208 votes to 123 in the Commons. The bill, which was introduced by the Labour MP Diana Johnson, calls for a repeal of the 1861 Offences Against the Person Act, which criminalised any woman seeking an abortion with a theoretical maximum term of life imprisonment. The act was superseded by the Abortion Act 1967 in England and Wales, but it remains the law in Northern Ireland, forcing women to come to Britain to have abortions. UK House of Commons. At House of Commons, candidate Diana Johnson to explain her 10-minute rule motion in less than 60 seconds. Find out why she wants to introduce a bill to amend the law relating to abortion in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Watch https://t.co/481qrgnpic.twitter.com/ensign3hn7ys. October 23, 2018. My colleague Dan Sabag reported her intention to present the bill to Parliament on Sunday. Johnson said her 10-minute rule bill would give MPs their first chance to vote on the abortion law in Northern Ireland since a May referendum overturned a ban in the Irish Republic. The UK Supreme Court indicated in June that Northern Ireland's abortion legislation was incompatible with human rights, although judges did not strike down the law on a technicality. Johnson hopes that her bill will win enough support to force Theresa May to act, although there is no chance it will become law because the government will not give it parliamentary time. "I want to keep up the pressure on the government to allow MPs to have a proper vote," Johnson said. Responding to Johnson in the Commons, Conservative MP Fiona Bruce said the bill was against the principle of devolution and would completely undermine the substance and spirit of the Good Friday Agreement. She said, "It should be up to Northern Ireland to change their abortion laws, when and if they want to." The bill will have its second reading on the 23rd of November. 8:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 8:14 Cabinet to receive weekly update on Brexit preparations, updated at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 7:53 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 7:53 Government to consult on adding folic acid to flour to reduce birth defects, updated at 7:57 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 7:22 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 7:22 7:11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 7:11 No. Sign of a vote of no confidence in Theresa May. Dan Sabag. Tom Newton Dunn. At Newton Dunn, 1922 Chairman Sir Graham Brady has told friends he has no plans to go to number 10 today and is going about his normal business. Stand down folks, for now at least. October 23, 2018. There is no sign that the 48-letter threshold required to trigger a vote of confidence in Theresa May's leadership has been reached, writes my colleague Dan Sabag. Graham Brady, the chairman of the committee, needs to receive signed letters from 15% of the party's MPs to trigger a ballot that, if ever triggered, could herald the end of May's premiership. But Brady is indicating he is going about his normal business today, with no plans to get in contact with Downing Street. The number of letters calling for a vote is kept confidential until the threshold is exceeded, and rumors about the total lodged constantly circulate at Westminster. Over the last 24 hours, claims have been made that the 48 threshold has been reached, although there is never any firm basis for this sort of speculation. What it does reflect is the febrile mood in Tory ranks as the Brexit negotiations drag on and fears remain that the UK will be locked into the customs union or other long-term arrangements with the European Union that would impact on British sovereignty. Some MPs hostile to May say that she has to be challenged this week or there is not enough time before negotiations conclude at the end of November, but many others warn that any challenge to her now would prevent any deal being reached at all. Updated at 7:25 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 7:05 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 7:05 ARJ Singh. At Singharj, autistic MP Jared O'Meara reveals he cannot attend. https://t.co/l6casig29kpic.twitter.com/zfbn7dq. October 23, 2018. Jared O'Meara, MP for Sheffield Hallam, has told the Yorkshire Post that he cannot attend Prime Minister's questions because of his autism. ARJ Singh reports, an MP who has autism has revealed he cannot attend Prime Minister's questions because of the shouting and aggression in the House of Commons' most watched session. Independent Sheffield Hallam MP Jared O'Meara revealed he had asked the Commons Speaker, Jen Bercow, to make adjustments to the way he chairs debates so he could attend, but this was not taken into account. O'Meara, who faced criticism for being largely absent from the Commons during a suspension from Labour for sexist and homophobic comments he made before he was an MP, revealed he has only attended PMQs once, telling a Westminster Hall debate on Monday night, "So far my autism has not been taken into account by Parliament. I have asked for adjustments from the Speaker's office so that I can comfortably speak more in the chamber, because with things such as shouting, when everyone is heckling, the aggression and the loud noises mean I cannot cope. I have only been to Prime Minister's questions once because of all the shouting." Updated at 9:10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 6:38 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 6:38 Irish PM. Confident British government will honour commitment to Irish border. Updated at 6:53 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 6:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 6:14. Updated at 9:10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 5:48 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. 5:48. Scientists warned that hard Brexit would cripple progress. Jessica El-Gouet Coalition of Nobel laureates has said a hard Brexit could cripple UK science. In a letter to Theresa May and the European Commission President, Jean-Claude Juncker, writes my colleague Jessica El-Gouet. The letter, signed by 29 Nobel Prize winners and 6 Fields medalists, says the UK must now strive to ensure that as little harm as possible is done to research. Among the signatories was Sir Paul Nurse, the British geneticist who won his Nobel for pioneering work on cancer therapy and tumour diagnosis, and the biologist Venki Ramakrishnan, President of the Royal Society. BBC Radio 4 Today. At BBCR4 Today, I can't tell you how depressed our young scientists are about the messages coming out of government. Sir Paul Nurse, director at the Crick, warns that a hard Brexit could cripple UK science. The government doesn't seem to be putting this at the top of its agenda. I can't tell you how depressed our young scientists are about the messages coming out of government. This is just awful. You are letting your extremists dominate the debate. You have to get a grip on them. A survey of more than 1,000 staff at the Crick Institute, the biggest biomedical research lab in Europe, found 97% of them believed a hard Brexit would be bad for UK science and 82% thought it would have a detrimental effect on European science. The Science Minister, Sam Gyimah, said the government was making preparations to protect collaboration in the event of a no-deal Brexit. We all recognize that a chaotic Brexit will be a significant setback for science, he said. That is why we have got a plan to ensure that, deal or no deal, there will be no cliff edge for UK science. Gyimah said there were unprecedented amounts of money going into UK science, £7 billion in the next 5 years. That is more than we have ever invested in research and development. The letter from the scientists came amid warnings that emergency powers may be needed to ensure patients can still get the medicines they need after a no-deal Brexit. The Healthcare Distribution Association said 50% of medicines in a typical wholesaler's warehouse had been through the EU at some point. Martin Saar, the HDA's executive director, who is due to give evidence to MPs on Tuesday, told BBC Radio 4's Today programme, a no deal, we believe, would require some sort of temporary emergency powers to ensure consistent supply to patients in the UK. It's a problem about aligning regulations to start with. That creates an ease of transport. It's also a logistics issue about all the transport infrastructure being tied up in Calais, trying to get into France, that we need to get back here. It could take months or years for alternative supply routes to be established, he said. We believe, in the event of a no-deal Brexit, there would be shortages and effects to that commodity system that we can't foresee, he said. We don't know what's going on, so, because of an uncertain future, we can't yet plan for what a no-deal would look like. 5:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. 5:14 updated at 9:10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. 4:32 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. 4:32 David Davis's former chief of staff criticized Jessica Elgo. David Davis's former chief of staff was under fire on Tuesday for tweeting that the family of a sick child were cretins because of an EU flag bed cover, writes my colleague Jessica Elgo. Jessica Elgo, at Jessica Elgo, Tory Brexiteers fuming this morning about Jackson. It tars all Brexiteers with this vile brush. It's a real worry that a man with such appalling judgment could be Chief of Staff in number 10 if DD ousts the PM, one texts. October 23, 2018 Stuart Jackson, the former Tory MP for Peterborough who became Davis's Chief of Staff at DEXU after losing his seat, was responding to a tweet with a picture of a boy recovering from an operation in Great Ormond Street Hospital. He's incredibly brave but gutted he can't be at the People's Vote March today, the tweet said, showing a picture of the boy in a hospital bed under an EU flag. Jackson tweeted, what a pathetic cretin. Johnstone, at Johnstone, David Davis's chief of staff calls hospitalized child at pathetic cretin, for some reason pic.twitter.com/lmkztw2ef October 22, 2018 The tweet came after a day of condemnation of violent rhetoric language used by some anonymous Tory sources to describe ousting the Prime Minister. Labour's Wes Streeting said he should deleted and issue a grovelling apology. One Tory Brexiteer source expressed deep frustration. After a weekend of disgusting briefing about knives and nooses, it is so depressing to read David Davis's key ally attacking the family of a sick child because they campaigned for Remain, the source said. We should be able to disagree without resorting to this. It tars all Brexiteers with this vile brush. It's a real worry that a man with such appalling judgment could be Chief of Staff in number 10 if DD ousts the PM. Science Minister Sam Gyimah said that those who used violent language were damaging their reputations. Dehumanizing and derogatory language, no matter how strongly you agree, is unacceptable in our political discourse, he told BBC Radio 4's Today programme. I think that was a low bar, and I hope we do not go back to that. No one can take credibly or seriously people who uses that language. Jackson deleted the tweet on Monday night and told Politico, I think it's awful that people with extreme views on Remain like this parent should invade a sick child's privacy to make a political point. Updated at 5:20 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. 4:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. 419 Conservative MP Andrew Bridgen has been on BBC Radio 4's Today programme this morning, denying that he was the source of anonymous quotes suggesting that the Prime Minister might be knifed by internal critics of her Brexit plans or should bring her own news to a meeting of Tory MPs. The comments have been widely criticised across the political spectrum, with Jeremy Corbyn, Keir Starmer and Jacob Rees-Mogg among those condemning the language. Senior Conservatives have demanded the party remove the whip from the anonymous MP who briefed the violent rhetoric to Sunday papers. Bridgen told BBC Radio 4's Today programme, "It's not me. I have no idea who it was. I don't normally hide behind anonymous quotes. I think these sorts of comments are unproductive." The North West Leicestershire MP, who submitted a letter of no confidence in Theresa May in July, added, "We either change the Prime Minister's policy or we have to change the Prime Minister." The Press Association report, Bridgen said he understood that, if 1922 committee chairman Sir Graham Brady receives the 48 letters needed to trigger a confidence ballot, he would first call each of the MPs involved to check whether they wish to withdraw their letter. He confirmed he would not change his mind. He played down the prospect of Mrs May being toppled by the votes of fewer than 158 Tory MPs, 50% of the total. In the past, as few as 70 to 100 negative votes would be enough to force her to stand down, but a new paradigm had been created by the survival of Jeremy Corbyn when many of his MPs have no confidence in him, said Bridgen. Toppling the Prime Minister isn't the only solution, he added. The Prime Minister could pivot away from the Chequers deal, which is deeply unpopular in the country and doesn't deliver the Brexit we promised. Prominent Tory Remainer Anna Soubry has expressed some gentle exasperation at Bridgen's inclusion on the flagship radio show. Anna Soubry MP, at Anna Soubry, "Oh for goodness sake another. I'm Lexi Topping and I'll be standing in for the inimitable Andy Sparrow today, inevitably doing a worse job at keeping you abreast of the main politics news of the day." This morning Theresa May will brief the cabinet on the progress of the Brexit negotiations after last week's Brussels summit failed to achieve hoped-for progress. The cabinet is set to meet at Downing Street at 9:30 a.m. At 10 a.m. Michael Gove will give a speech to British-Irish Parliamentary Assembly, while around 12:30 p.m. Energy Minister Claire Perry will give evidence on preparations for a no-deal Brexit, and the Foreign Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, meets with his Dutch counterpart, Stef Blok. In the House of Lords it's the second reading of the upskirting bill, while the Lords will also hear oral questions on the £1,012 fee to register for British citizenship, food security after Brexit, and the prevention of anonymous social media accounts. And at 4:30 p.m. the Gibraltar Chief Minister, Fabian Picardo, will give evidence to the House of Lords EU Committee on, yes you guessed it, Brexit. In other politics news, world-leading scientists have warned Theresa May not to allow Brexit to create new barriers to collaboration across Europe, while the body representing health product distributors has warned that emergency powers may be needed to ensure patients can still get the medicines they need after a no-deal Brexit. More on all of these as they come. Updated at 9:09 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time.